Hello and welcome to the stream. Welcome to the channel. My name's Alec Johnson, and yeah, this is a 1 week into YouTube live stream. I know that usually people tend to have these sort of things when they've perhaps been streaming for or on YouTube for a lot longer than this. But yeah, I just wanted to, in fact, can I just see if I'm even going through? I hope you can hear me. So let me just increase my volume a little bit. Excuse me, I seem to do everything except check my actual levels in my earphones. There we go. I had a horrible thought for a moment there that the sound was not coming through. Anyway, yes, so as I was saying, most people do these sorts of things when they reach major milestones on their YouTube journey, such as 50,000, 100,000, 1 million subscribers, things like that. But as it stands, we're 1 week in with 11 subscribers, so no cause for celebration yet. But I thought I'd use this as an opportunity, since I am intending to do sort of regular weekly live streams, and as the channel and audience builds, then we can sort of go into specific things that people want covered. But for now, I thought it would be a good opportunity just to give an update on basically how the first week's been, really, and what I've done, and also some of the services that I've subscribed to in order to support the channel. So I thought that might be just something that's quite useful to cover. And what I'll probably do is this is going to be, I'm not sure quite how long this is going to run, but what I'll do is I'll look to sort of cut out some salient pieces from here and use them in some other videos. And then obviously, if anybody joins in along the way, then we can chat about whatever comes up. So yeah, for the moment though, let's have a little talk about how the week's gone. Well, I did my first live stream exactly a week ago. It is 4:30 a.m. here where I am, so I'm based in the north of Thailand. I sort of post these things on Facebook, giving the time in terms of sort of US Eastern time. I've got to pick a time zone, and so that's more kind of like the target demographic that I'm heading for is kind of Europe, US. Not so many people in Thailand are going to be interested in, well, that's not necessarily true, but with it being the English language demographic basically is what I'm going for here. So yeah, there's a lot of obviously Thai speakers who may not quite understand what I'm talking about. So at some point I may do a Thai language YouTube channel as well. I've been here about 15 years now, so that is an option further down the line, but I'm not quite confident enough to go live in Thai. I speak it relatively well, but yeah, that's just another little hurdle for me to get over before I do that. I think I might leave that to my my little daughters, who are also looking to set up their own channels. Anyway, so speaking of which, my eldest daughter, who is 9 years old, she finds it both hilarious and amazing that her daddy is a YouTuber. And in fact, when I put my first video up last week, I obviously got 1 subscriber, which was my wife, straight out of the gate before even posting before the video had even properly aired, I think. But anyway, then after a few hours, I noticed that I'd had 3 subscribers, and I thought, well, that's a bit quicker than I was expecting, because I'm not doing any promotion for this channel at all. It's just a case of, it's more of an experiment really to see how far it gets on the YouTube algorithm alone. So yeah, I was quite surprised to have 3 subscribers from basically 3 views of the video, which seemed quite a good conversion rate if you want to look at it like that. So I told my wife about it and she was quite happy, and then I mentioned it to my daughter and said, hey, guess what? The good news, Daddy's got 3 new subscribers. And she said, yes, I know. And she went off to list who they were, because she'd in fact instructed, or I should say ordered, them to subscribe to the channel. So they were friends of the family. And then a little bit later, I got an email from my parents saying that my daughter had just phoned them to say, your son is a YouTuber. So then that was another couple of subscribers. So I say I'm up to 11 subscribers, but I think the majority of them appear to be friends and family at the moment. But hey, I'll take what I can get. So that was the sort of progress in terms of the growth of the channel this week. I have been getting some traction in the videos that I've been putting online though, obviously with the YouTube analytics, you can see a little bit about who's been subscribing and where they've been subscribing. Actually, I haven't quite got enough views yet to get full analytics, so you need to get, I don't know exactly the level that you have to reach before it will start actually showing you things like demographics, age groups, locations, and all that sort of stuff. But what it does tell me at the moment is where the traffic is coming from. And so I can see that, first of all, how much of it is coming from Thailand, which is probably from my daughter's iPad and her friends, but then also which is outside of Thailand, and also the actual route that they've taken. So have they found it from the subscription? Have they found it from the sort of recommended video feed in their own feed? And so I can see that there is still, fortunately, some organic traffic, and people have been coming from search and things like that. So it's not all my daughter and parents that are watching these videos, which is, I'm pleased that they're watching it, but yeah, I'm pleased that others are too as well. So what else has happened this week in the channel in terms of the growth of the channel? So yeah, it is going to be, this live stream is going to be for the next few weeks, just kind of like an update of that progress, because I'm sure that there will be some people interested in sort of what to expect and the things that can happen along the way in growing a channel. So I've already had my first copyright strike, although it's all been sorted out now. But what happened was, obviously in my, you've just heard some music at the start of the stream. When I do my videos, I have a little bit of intro music and also some outro music as well. And this is being licensed through, actually through Adobe Stock. So I've already got an Adobe Stock footage license, and I use that in my work. And so that's mainly for sort of stock images and things like that. However, as part of that license, or as part of that subscription, you also get access to the music library of a company called Epidemic Sound, who are very popular with YouTubers because it allows them to have access to a whole catalog of music. In fact, I'll just quickly pop up a link to that, because if you go to this site, you can see Epidemic Sound. So I thought I'd found a good way of saving a little bit of money, because I've already got access to Epidemic Sound through my Adobe Stock subscription. And you just go through Adobe Stock, select the music you want, and add it to your videos. Well, I had done that, and then I uploaded my first video and second video, and then I noticed that I was getting a little copyright notice. Now, if I just quickly go over to my YouTube, I can probably show you where this is, because it might be interesting to some of you. And I've just switched my Stream Deck off my Ecamm Live setup. Right, so here we go in YouTube Studio. Here are the videos you can see that I've uploaded this week. So 1 week in, I've been doing a video a day. So just 6. I've got another proper video to do today as well after the stream. But yeah, you can see that these are the videos, and then if you go into the details, what you'll notice, in fact, actually, it would show it up in here, in fact. So this this area just here where it says restrictions, and at the moment they say none. Well, if you've got a copyright claim because you've used some piece of music and they're disputing it, then it will pop up in there, and it will also pop up, as I was just about to show you, in the video page itself. So down at the side, you would see restrictions here. So you would see something in here to say that it is there's a claim against the video. So this is a kind of known part of the process as far as Adobe is concerned. They tell you that if you get a copyright claim on your video, then you go and retrieve your license for that piece of music and go into the video and go through the process of querying the copyright claim or disputing it, and you add in your license code, and then it'll all be resolved. And indeed it is. It doesn't take that long. You go in and you put in the details, and then when I say it doesn't take that long, I mean in terms of the resolution. So it seems to be within about a couple of hours. I found that it would say then it would lift the restrictions, because I do indeed have a code. But that seems just like a bit of a added piece of friction to the process of setting up the videos. If every time I upload a video, I'm going to have to go through and add in that little license code from Adobe Stock. So I contacted Epidemic and asked if there's any way, given that I have the Adobe license, if there's any way that they can whitelist my channel, because I know that if you are a user of Epidemic, then that's what they do. They ask you for the channel that you have, anywhere where you're going to be using the music or sound effects or whatever, and then it's just whitelisted, so you can use it in your podcast, in your channel, YouTube channel, or on Twitch or things like that. As long as you specify where you're using it, then it'll stop you getting any copyright claims. So I was wondering, well, is there a way that I can do that with my Adobe stock license as well and have my my site whitelisted? Unfortunately, they replied and said that we can't. Adobe does give you the they directed me to the Adobe instructions for how to enter your license codes, which is what I'd been doing anyway. But then also the other point that they made is, when you actually license a piece of music in Adobe stock, something I hadn't really realized, to be honest, is you have to actually activate it again for each time that the piece is used. So it's not enough to just actually license the music once and then say, right, well, I own the license, I'm going to put it into every video. Actually, you need to, every time you upload it, you need to go to Adobe stock, you need to go to relicense the piece of footage, and then you need to take that new code for it and add that into the dispute claim. So it's really quite a process every time you upload a video. And I mentioned in some of my other videos, and certainly my last stream, that the whole point about this is that it needs to be as frictionless as possible. YouTube is certainly not my main focus of attention at the moment, and it's certainly not an income generating focus of attention just yet, but perhaps we'll come back to that a bit later. So it needs to be something that I can just sort of sit down, do these videos, and then sort of move on and sort of forget it. And one of the other things that I subscribe to, which I'll come to after, is Ecamm Live, and that enables me to just basically film the video. This is obviously live, but the other more sort of technically produced videos are made in Ecamm Live, and those ones I just stream. Once I've finished, I just click the button to upload it to YouTube, and then it's just there, and I go and edit some of the details afterwards with a bit of help from one of the other services I'll mention, and then it's up and online. So technically, a half-hour video is taking me sort of maybe no more than an hour. Sort of I sit down, get myself ready, get everything set up, any things that I need to demonstrate, check all my cameras and setup and so on, and then just record the video. It uploads it as soon as I have finished, and then go in and do a little bit of editing and tidying up of the sort of video details within YouTube. So it's pretty much kind of like 15-20 minutes on either end of the video, and then whatever the length of the video is. So yeah, I don't really want to add into that sort of quite efficient workflow. I don't want to add in having to go to Adobe stock, take the license code, go and dispute the claim, going through all this process. And so in the end, I just subscribe to Epidemic as well. And it's not expensive. It is only, I think, less than $120 for the year. I think they've got a discount on it at the moment. So I think at the moment in May, they're running 40% off. So it's, for the cost of it for the year and then the month. And then if I'm only doing it, posting a video a day, it works out at sort of less than 50 cents a day that it's to save me the hassle of having to go in. So technically I've got a duplicate Epidemic license with Adobe stock, but this certainly saves me a lot of time. And yeah, so it's I've left the link obviously right in front of my face just down here. That's the short way to get to it, and this is an affiliate link, by the way, which comes back to what I was talking about earlier about it not being a revenue generating channel. What I am trying to do is, where possible, add in ways to, in some ways, monetize the channel, because there is costs associated with it, such as the cost of the Epidemic subscription. And so yeah, if you use this link that I've put down here, that will just sort of redirect you through using my affiliate code. And then I don't think you get sort of direct financial commission through Epidemic, through their affiliate program, but you do sort of get some off the next bill that you get or something like that. So an extension to your subscription, so it'll just add it on to whatever I've got for the year, and it won't cost you anything if you do subscribe that way as well. So Epidemic is one of the subscriptions that I'm using out of the, there's 5 that I'll go through today, or technically 6, I suppose, but 5 that are subscriptions that you subscribe to. And the next one that I've subscribed to is Squarespace. If you're I don't think there's anybody, if you've ever listened to a podcast, you can't really get away from Squarespace, certainly. So I've subscribed to Squarespace because I'm using it for my website, obviously. So if I just flick over to that, and I'm on the Ecamm Live, I'll come to that one afterwards. You know what I think about Ecamm Live. So yeah, this is my website. So it is, whoops, let me just change my little overlay there. So takeonetech.io. So yeah, the obviously reason for the website is to kind of support the channel. I am using that to host the videos, or not host, but rather show off the videos and showcase the videos in terms of, you can watch the live stream direct from the webpage, in case anybody ever wants to do that. I'm not sure that many people will, but it's there nonetheless, and just to keep people updated. And then I've got some quick links to different sections of the website. So all of the videos, I've got a videos page where it's basically I'm just copying the little short link from YouTube, and I've got them in there sort of a little bit organized. So again, just as a sort of showcase. I probably won't have all of the catalog on there because eventually it will get a bit too overwhelming. So I'll just have some sort of the latest videos in the different sections that I've got, and then I'll link to the YouTube channel. I've also got a gear page in there, and this comes back to that monetization thing, but also I'm using this with sort of affiliate links for all of the gear that I mention in the channel. So whenever I do mention anything, I always leave a link in the description below in the other videos. I haven't really got any gear to talk about today, but under normal circumstances, anything that I mention on the channel, then I'll have a link to it in the description. Although it's one of those things that I'm so used to hearing people say link in the description, I do seem to keep forgetting to tell people myself. So the other thing that I got a comment was that some people don't actually know where the description is, apparently, which I can quite understand. If you're not so familiar with YouTube, then if you scroll down, it isn't actually there by default, is it? You do have to click that little arrow, and so that was something that somebody mentioned to me, that where is the description? So I'll have to remember to tell people to check the description, but also tell them how to find it for the uninitiated. So yeah, this is all the things that I'm using, and so I've got it on my website just so that if people do go there, if they watch a video but they can't remember where which video they heard about something in, then it'll all be linked in the gear page as well. So back on the home page, I've got obviously somewhere where people can search, subscribe to the channel, and then also I've got my Buy Me a Coffee link, which I'll come to a bit later as well. In fact, while I'm doing it, let me just pop up the link for that as well. It would be rude not to at this stage, since I've mentioned it as well. And then also, funnily enough, I've got the 5 services that I'm talking about today on the bottom of the site as well, just because I am really happy with all of these things that I'm using, and they represent for me amazing value, really. And I suppose this is a good time to come on to possibly my new favorite piece of software. And I've used quite a few pieces of software, but Ecamm Live is what I'm using for the channel and creating the videos. You probably, if you have seen any of my other videos, you probably know that already, because it seems to feature somewhere in most of the videos. I talk about it in terms of using it and giving sort of demonstrations of how I use it, and using it with things like the Stream Deck and so on. But then also I just seem to drop it into most videos somewhere that this is how I'm creating the videos. It is an amazing piece of software, and it allows me to, obviously I'm streaming from it now, and if I just pop up a link, you can go to takeonetech.io/ecamm, and that will take you through, using my affiliate link, to the Ecamm website. It allows me to do what I just mentioned earlier, really. Sit down, spend 15 minutes preparing myself, not the software. The software's there ready to go. And I can just create these videos in one take, which is, as you may have guessed, where the where the name of the channel comes from, Take One Tech. It's for me to sit down and do a single video in one take from start to finish with all of the production done along the way. And without Ecamm Live, I wouldn't be able to do this, and I probably wouldn't be making this YouTube channel. And there's a whole story about how I came to be using Ecamm Live, having wanted to produce some video content for a course that I was creating. And yes, I got in the way of myself with my own video production workflow before, in that I added myself and editing into the process. And then the little perfectionist sitting on my shoulder was never happy with my on-screen presence and what I was filming, and so I would tend to retake dozens of times, and so then I would be kind of screwing over my future self, in that I would then have to edit this all together and make it into some sort of coherent production. Whereas somehow, if I'm just sort of sitting in front of a camera and speaking with knowing that there is no option to edit, then I don't seem to have quite the same issues, although you can judge the quality for yourself. So yeah, that's Ecamm Live. It is how I'm building this channel, really. And yet without the Ecamm Live, I just wouldn't be able to do it. It is a paid product. There are other ones out there. I did do a video recently, and any videos that I do mention in this live stream, by the way, I'll go in afterwards and I'll drop a little link to them in the top corner. But yeah, so Ecamm Live is a paid product. You could use something like OBS, which is a free product, but it's not quite the same. It just doesn't have the same functionality. That's not true. It does have the same functionality. In theory, it can do what Ecamm Live can do. And in fact, there are some plugins from third parties that allow you to do things that possibly Ecamm doesn't do. I'm not sure, but certainly Ecamm does absolutely everything that I want and can imagine that I could need from it. And it does it in a really sort of elegant, very Mac-like. It is a Mac-only app, by the way. It does it in a really elegant sort of Mac-like way, and so yeah, it's just a beautiful product to use. Whereas sort of OBS rather does have that kind of open source vibe to it, if you know what I mean, and it's also open source, so it's not actually not being driven and supported by a group of a company. It's being driven by a group of enthusiasts, which can be good, but yeah, sometimes you do need a bit more direction than that. So yeah, without Ecamm Live, I wouldn't be doing this now. And the next thing that I subscribe to is the pricing, by the way, I should mention about Ecamm Live is $30. Let me just check, because I actually can't quite remember. I think it's $30 for the $16 a month for the base version, and then it's $32 for the pro version. And the differences are the pro version. So I'm subscribing to the pro version, and the pro version allows you to actually have Ecamm Live act as a virtual camera. And what I mean by that is you can actually have all of the functionality of Ecamm Live. So if I just quickly share my screen for a moment and give you a little demo here. So this is Ecamm Live, the interface. So here you can see what's going out, and then I've got all my scenes down this side, different overlays, things like that. And since I'm live, I've got my bandwidth statistics here, any chat that's in here. So this is just me actually on my wife's iPad checking the chat function, because I've never actually used this before. So here you can see, if you just click on this, then it will pop up the comment just there, and I can make that disappear. So that's what I was doing just there. But yeah, so you get all of this functionality and all of the production. So here you can see I've got my buy me a coffee link still sneakily up there, but I could equally take that down and then, using my Stream Deck, put my lower third up, and all of this sort of production work that you can do in it. You can have this set as a virtual camera with this little icon toggled there. It doesn't necessarily need to be on, actually, but what that can do is, if I'm on a Zoom call, I can set this as my camera. So the other thing is, I am actually on a green screen at the moment. So if I just quickly there we go. Spoiled the illusion, haven't I? I'll put it back quickly. So I'm using a green screen, and the green screen functionality in Ecamm Live is better it's certainly a lot better than the green screen functionality in Zoom. In Microsoft Teams. I don't even know why that's in there as a feature. It is absolutely useless in terms of keying out the green screen. It just looks terrible. And every time I see somebody on a Teams call who's using the green screen, I just want to tell them to turn it off, because it's distracting. If anything, it's not even a case of the keying not being right. So here you could see if I adjust the keying, it's a bit bad around the edges, isn't it? Well, that isn't the issue with Microsoft Teams. It does actually key out the green screen well. It's just that what you get sort of like a 2 or 3 centimeter border basically around the person that is the background, which is really distracting. I mean, it'd be bad if it was just a green background, but obviously most people are using this not actually in front of a green screen, but they're using it in front of their background, and they're trying to just block out their background. I'm going to do a whole I have actually done a video specifically on how to get the best out of your green screen, but I'm going to do a video on how to use these things in your Zoom calls and Teams calls as well, because as I say, it's a bit like when people have poor quality sound. Probably I'll link up to the review I did for this microphone. But when people have poor quality sound in meetings, it's actually really distracting. When you get things like, even if it's just feedback, so some people have their speakers, and then you're getting feedback of the conversation when they're on a Zoom call. It can really distract. And the same with if they've got some weird sort of background effects going on where they've not, where they're using Teams and it's not doing a good job of the virtual background, it just distracts from the conversation really. And so I tend to, I don't use a scene like I've got behind me now when I'm on a professional call. Tend to be just a little bit different, and the background is a bit more suitable as well. This means that, as I was saying, after that digression, that you can use the output that you're getting from your Ecamm Live, and you can have that feeding into your Zoom or your Teams call. So there, instead of selecting your perhaps your webcam on your Mac, you can just see it in the drop-down list of cameras that it is Ecamm Live. And so not only do you get the better sort of video green screen effect, if that is something that you're interested in, but more importantly, you get to use things like the lower thirds and things like that. And also, if you're going to do some sort of screen sharing, I know there is screen sharing functionality built into Teams and Zoom. Obviously you can just share your screen, but sometimes if you want to do something like a picture-in-picture, for example, then sometimes it might be a better way of doing it. And also, if you've got a telestrator, I haven't actually got mine set up yet. I'm using my iPad for something else at the moment to just check on the screen, but normally I've got my iPad that I can use as a telestrator, so I can draw over things as well. The other way to do that, of course, is something like I mentioned it in one of my other videos, the Pro Mouse. So I can bring that one up, and this, you can see that I can give demonstrations here. You can see where my mouse pointer is. I can zoom to show exactly what I'm pointing to. I can do a spotlight like this. Obviously these work. This isn't a Ecamm Live feature. This is just a Pro Mouse is the name of the app, and it just sits in your menu bar. But the other thing that you can do with it is you can actually do sort of drawing on screen and stuff like that if you want, or you can draw straight lines or little arrows, things like that. So those sorts of things are quite useful. Again, that isn't an Ecamm feature, and you could just do that in Zoom. But I think it just all adds to the production if you can, or the presentation, I should say, of your meetings. If you can use things like this, it does sort of set you at a certain level, specifically if you are trying to talk with clients or win contracts or things like that. Then it certainly goes a long way to have a better produced video. You tend to find that somebody who has a more professional setup does tend to have that sort of level of authority in the conversation. So yeah, definitely something to think about there. So that is why I went with the higher tier of Ecamm Live. Obviously I'm still sharing my screen in demo mode at the moment, but you can see here the other feature that you can have is this interview mode. So I'll bring this one back over here and change to this scene. So you can have interview mode as well. So this allows you to bring somebody else into the conversation. So if you are on a call with, if you want to have somebody as an interviewee in your video or in your live stream, then you can do that as well if you're using the pro version of Ecamm Live. I've not actually done that yet. I'm not sure entirely that I will, but still it's there as an option. The main reason for me to go to the $32 level was just so that I could have that feed into my work calls. So the next thing that I have subscribed to for the channel then, so that's I talked about Squarespace, and for my website I talked about Epidemic, and I've talked about Ecamm Live. The next thing that I subscribe to is TubeBuddy. So that is something that is, it's sort of like a plugin. In fact, just let me take off my my mouse for a moment. There we go, that's better. That was getting a bit distracting for me. And I'd just drawn all over the screen that I was about to show you. So TubeBuddy is something that basically it helps you with structuring your video content, finding things like tags, setting up your channel page and things like that on YouTube. It is your sort of little assistant, if you like, for YouTube. And I found it really useful in helping me set up those things, my channel description, setting up the tags, things like that that I need to have. But then also when I create the videos and upload them, as I mentioned, I make the videos in Ecamm Live and have them just automatically go to YouTube after I've finished, or upload them to YouTube after I've finished. But then I need to go in and sort of edit those things, and I'll show you what that looks like at the moment when you're in the interface. Let me just get this little window out of the way here. Sorry about this, 1 second. Whoops, I've got a couple of windows right where I don't want them at the moment. Okay, so I'll go over to my screen sharing. There we go. So now we've this is basically the TubeBuddy homepage, and yeah, you can follow the link down below, or rather just literally just below in the screen here. I'll just take that off for the moment so it doesn't totally block out everything that we're talking about. But I'll put it up again afterwards. So yeah, this is the TubeBuddy website, and I'll just go now over to, if I go over to, which screen is it on? So this is my YouTube studio where I upload the videos and things like that. And you can see that actually TubeBuddy, once you've installed it, it is in fact a sort of fully, it comes across as fully integrated as part of the YouTube Studio experience. So you can see that the button, the button for it is up at the top here. And if you click on that, it's got some basically this is how you access most of the functionality, but it does also have some links to some of the things in YouTube which are sort of a bit, not really hidden, but they're perhaps a bit hard to sort of navigate to. So rather than having to go through, for example, if you want to go to your live streams, then if I was just in my sort of dashboard here, then if I go to content, and then I go here to live streams, it's like a couple of clicks away. This is perhaps a bad example because it's not actually that deep, is it? But from here, basically, there is shortcuts to different things such as live streams, videos, your playlists, any comments, analytics, and all that sort of stuff. So it gives you some little shortcuts in there. But then it's also got these other tools. So Keyword Explorer, that allows you to enter a keyword and then it will tell you, well, let's have a look, shall we? I can even just give you a quick example of that right now. So if I enter a keyword, so let me try Ecamm Live since I do love it so much. It gives you some examples there, but let's say Ecamm Live for Mac. And what it does is it will show you the overall score for that particular keyword. So, and then it will show you why. So it tells you what the search volume is, but then also how much competition there is, and then the optimized strength. So how optimized the top ranking videos are for the phrase. So basically, you know, it's showing you how many people are looking for it, how much competition there is for it, and essentially how good the competition is. And you would expect that the Ecamm Live community to be quite a sort of savvy audience, since they are actually doing this. They are actually creating the content, so they will obviously have quite a good insight into how to set this stuff all up. But bear in mind, this is just one keyword, so you would use multiple keywords in your videos, and so you might not get the best results from this particular one, or I may not in this case, but there may be plenty of other ones. And in fact, here you can see related searches, so it will show you all the different plugins, all the different keywords, and so you can just go through and tick which ones you want and either add them to your video, or you can actually create lists of keywords as well. So if you are making videos or live streams about multiple different things quite regularly, then you can just click them all and add them to a topic planner or a list, create a list, and then you've got that list then, so every time you do a video on that topic, you can drop them in. The topic planner, by the way, is just it just allows you to sort of, if you've got any ideas, you can just jot down the ideas in there of videos that you want to make, and then you can add the tags to there. As you can see there is an app for TubeBuddy as well, which is quite good. I only use it really for just having a quick look to see the statistics of the channel, and also it tells you things that you can do to improve your videos, and I'll come to that a little bit later as well. So what else does TubeBuddy allow you to do? Yeah, I mentioned the topic planner. You've got SEO tools there as well, tag lists that I talked about. So anything you look at in the Keyword Explorer will come up in that tags list. Best time to publish, so it will look at your videos and tell you when the best time to publish is. And click magnets, I have to say I haven't actually used this particular one. That's why it is a beta feature at the moment. Now let me just close that down. So the other way that I've been using TubeBuddy mainly, apart from setting up my channel itself and the description and things like that, and helping me to do that, what I'll show you is when you actually go to upload a video. So this is actually already uploaded, obviously, but it's a good example because I haven't actually gone into this one. I uploaded this yesterday and I haven't actually gone in to update the details fully. So I have put in a title and a description, but what I haven't done is some of the other things. And what you'll notice is down this side here, you've got these TubeBuddy. So there's different defaults that you can add. I've not actually done that yet, as you can see, for things like descriptions and end cards, which are where the video is ending, and then there's different things that you can link to at the end. You can set those up as defaults and all that sort of stuff. But what's been quite useful for me is this best practices. So here it will tell you there's sort of 9 best practices, and it will show you which ones you've done. So for example, make sure you've got enough tags. So down at the bottom you can see the tags. So it will show you if you've got enough tags and sort of prompt you to add more if you haven't. Added it to a playlist, so I have added this video to a playlist already. Add the end screen, so that's the one where at the end of the screen when I sign off, then there's a little link that you can link to other videos or playlists or things like that. Get a like on Facebook, so I have actually posted it to Facebook. And then the title between 20 and 70 characters. And you can notice that it does actually give you a little bit more information about each of those as well. So it's not just a little check mark. So yeah, the title is actually exactly 70 characters by a strange fluke. So then if I show you the things that I haven't yet done, add chapters. So the chapter marks are those little things that you see on a video all the way through sometimes, which sort of as little lines in the timeline, and when you hover over them, it will tell you the name of the chapter. I'll show you an example of how you do that because it's really quite simple. I just haven't got around to doing it for this one yet that I posted yesterday. Add chapters, heart a comment. So just heart somebody's comment that has that they've posted. Then add info cards. So those are the little things that I've mentioned today already, which is when somebody says I'll pop a little link up in the top corner, then those are info cards. So if you've got any things that are relevant to the topic of the video that you want to link to, so I use that for linking to other videos of mine really, then you can always drop those in. So it's prompting me to do that. Add tags to your title. So yeah, there's and the thing about that is it's important that you basically want the content of the video, the description, the title, and the tags to all be sort of one cohesive thing, so that from a search perspective, I guess from YouTube's point of view, they want to see that your content is relevant to your description, is relevant to your title, is relevant to your tags. So here, probably in my title, use Ecamm Live and Stream Deck to produce videos on the fly, no edits. Then what I should probably be doing is checking my tags to see if I've got something that actually says that. And in fact here I've got use Ecamm Live with and Stream Deck. So probably what might help is if I just do this now. In fact, I'll just add that as a tag because I've got it the other way around, Stream Deck with Ecamm Live. So there we go. If I drop that into there. Typical. There we go. So let's save that and see if that has actually just helped me eliminate that one thing. Now what you will have to do is add tags to your titles. If I come out of this and then if I go back into it again afterwards, typical, isn't it, for a demonstration? Things always seem to slow down to a snail's pace. But if I go back into this one now, what I'm hoping is that that little note there will have gone. So yeah, you can see that it is it's gone. So now there's now 6 completed, and I've just got these other 4 to do. I won't bore you with those doing them live now. I'll go back and do those afterwards. But in terms of those chapter markers that I mentioned, if I go to something like this one, then I can show you it is a really simple job to actually add those in, because it's basically just text. All you do is you add text into your description somewhere, and it has to have this format of a 00 time with what that is, and then you just add in the times for the different things that you want chapter markers for, and then whatever you type here will appear as chapter markers. So all I do is I go through and watch the video, actually watch it at double speed. By the way, I recommend watching my videos at double speed, because when I watch them at single speed they do seem a little bit slow, whereas sped up they seem to iron out some of the pauses and gaps that I take as I struggle to eliminate ums and from my delivery. But anyway, so yeah, you just add it in like that as text in your description, and then it pops into the timeline. So that's quite clever. It's pretty easy to do. The end screen, that's the other one that it mentions, or that I mentioned before, and that's simply when you've done a video, it shows you, like, you can position elements. So for example, this one here is my little subscribe button, and then I've got these 2 videos panels here, and so you can see on the timeline what is coming into there. So here I've got it linking to some gear reviews and the latest streams, and the way I have it done is this little outro animation. In fact, I can probably play it for you just quickly to sort of illustrate the point, hoping that this doesn't stop the thing. So this little animation here that I've got basically plays at the end of the video, and so that allows me to give my little outro. And if you just notice, if I just play that quickly again, you'll notice that these 2 panels come up first, and then there's a pause of about 10 seconds or so, and then, or 5 seconds, and then this panel goes to yellow and it adds on the subscribe comment. And you can see that in there are no videos or no subscribe button, and that's because that is done through this panel. So that is how I get it to come up with the playlists and the videos first, and then the subscribe afterwards. Now you can go through and change exactly what videos you want. I tend to, this one in particular has 2 playlists, but what you can do, and what I've started doing actually, is having one video is just, I let YouTube choose it, and it chooses the video which it thinks is most appropriate to the viewer. So obviously if you have just watched the entire playlist, and then you'd finished this video and it was the last one, there's no point showing you another link to that same playlist if you've already watched it. So YouTube can just sort of suggest a video. So I tend to have latest videos, and or if there's a particularly relevant playlist, and then let YouTube choose the other one. And yet this is just the subscribe button that will pop up. So if somebody did actually tap on that, that would be a shortcut for them to subscribe. So that was a little bit of a digression, because you can actually apply a template in there as well with TubeBuddy. So yeah, I'm kind of getting off the topic of TubeBuddy a little bit there. But I will just pop up that link again, so that if you do want to check out TubeBuddy, the cost of that one is, let me just check, yeah, $7.20 a month. But if you've got less than 1,000 subscribers, and I'm quite significantly less than 1,000 subscribers, then it's half price, so it's only like $3 a month. But I do think that it is certainly helped me in terms of at least almost learning how to optimize my videos, or learning how to populate the information correctly. And it's just a good sort of visual cue as well, to make sure it serves as a sort of checklist. So you can see in this video, I've actually done everything that TubeBuddy told me, and it said all best practices complete. So yeah, for a couple of dollars a month, or $3 or $4 a month, it certainly seems a worthwhile addition to my list of subscriptions. So that is TubeBuddy. The next thing that I subscribe to, and I say this because it isn't actually a paid subscription yet, but it is Restream.io. Now, I'm live streaming now to YouTube, and I'm not actually using this, so I probably should be. But so Restream.io lets you basically stream to multiple platforms at the same time. Now, when you're in Ecamm Live, you can either set that you want to record the production, and so that's what I do when I sort of pre-record the videos before I upload them to YouTube. But then also you can go live and you select the platform, and then I can't actually show you this now because I'm live, the functionality is not quite there, but you basically select whether you want to go to Facebook, and you link Ecamm Live to your Facebook account, to your YouTube account, to Twitch, to wherever, and then you can just sort of go live to those platforms individually. However, what Restream lets you do is it lets you, once you've got an account, you add all of your other social accounts or video accounts in there, and then in Ecamm Live I select that I want to go live to Restream, and then it then restreams it out to all of those other platforms. So I can show you quickly how that's done, and it also allows me to sort of set up a stream on multiple platforms at the same time. Excuse me 1 minute. So if I go over and just show you what that one looks like. 1 second, there we go. So this is the interface for Restream. So you can see that you can add on different platforms. I've added on a few there, but I'm not sure I'm going to use those all going forward. It was more just sort of an experiment to see how it works with multiple platforms, and also how it handles like the comments and things like that. So I do intend to start streaming more to Twitch as well. There's a bit of a sort of debate about, well, not really a debate, but some people have different views basically on whether you should stream to multiple platforms at the same time, because or rather try and build an audience on multiple platforms, because if you've got sort of different people watching from different spaces, then although I can see all of the comments that come in one central feed onto my stream, the audiences will be separate, and they'll only be able to see the comments and things like that that come into their own ecosystem, if you like. So having that sort of separation is not necessarily a good thing if you've got, you know, sort of an audience that is split over multiple platforms. But I'm just really interested to see how things go on these other platforms as well, and you know what the sort of uptake is. I mean, this is all really for me just an experiment, so I'm experimenting to see how many people watch this live stream, and going forward, I know not many now because obviously I don't have many subscribers, and probably not many up and around at this time anyway, certainly from my little gang of my daughter's contacts who are now safely tucked away in bed asleep. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see as the channel goes forward, basically, how the growth of the viewership is on any live streams I do, and then also how it is on Twitch as well. YouTube, I think, is a much more discoverable platform, certainly to discover the channel, whereas Twitch, which is sort of purely live, I suppose you can go back and watch old things, but it's a different sort of format. It is built for live streaming, basically. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I don't think that the discoverability is quite there on that platform just yet. So yeah, but Restream.io lets you obviously have these different channels in here, and then if you want to schedule a stream, you can just go to events. So I did actually do the first one last week to this, which was this event last week. But then if you want to stream to multiple different platforms and create a live stream, I can go to schedule, add in a title, add in a description. So I do this, and then what you do is you set the time and click next, and then you can basically just select which channels you want to stream to for that particular event, and then create an event, and it will then send out that description and everything to all of those different platforms. So that one is it's free initially, but then there are different tiers as well if you want to have more functionality. And basically the free tier does everything that I want it to do at the moment. The only thing that you can't do with it on the free version is you can't stream to a Facebook page. You can stream to your own Facebook profile, but if you've got like a Facebook page, like I've got my Take One Tech Facebook page, then I can't stream to that using the free version, and you have to upgrade. And I forget how much that one is actually, $19 a month for that first level. But since I'm not really streaming to Facebook, and I'm quite happy to just experiment with these for the moment, I'm not paying for any subscription to that at the moment. However, if you're interested in trying that one out, then go to this link as well, and that'll take you through to the Restream website. So that is, I think I've covered Ecamm Live, my Squarespace, TubeBuddy, Epidemic, and the dashboard for Restream that we've just been to. So yeah, I guess the other subscriptions, those are 5 subscriptions, 4 of them paid. Incidentally, the cost of all of those together is $69 for those sort of 4 paid, and that Restream is obviously free. So $69 a month it's costing for the subscriptions that I've got to support the channel. There are obviously other things, so like I mentioned that Adobe stock license. I did use some of the stock photos and things like that for the channel. So but there are other ways to get stock images if you need them in your sort of design or anything like that as well. But I've not included that in my sort of monthly cost because that's not really for the channel. There's lots of other things that I use which are costs, but you know, we all have subscriptions these days to things like Dropbox, where I store all my my videos and things like that. Then I use my obviously Microsoft Office 365. I use Adobe Creative Suite for some of the graphics and things. So there are obviously other costs, but I'm just including here the ones that are specifically for the channel. So yeah, $69 a month. And so I was looking for, obviously, if there are any opportunities to monetize the channel in any way, then I figured it would be rude not to at least put those as options for people. So that is why I use my Buy Me a Coffee link, and I'll just include that back on the lower third as well. So yeah, this is basically, you may have heard of Patreon, where people can support content creators or musicians or people like that, whereby you can go and make have a monthly subscription to a creator, whereby you're just paying them a certain amount every month, and that's okay. But sometimes people aren't quite ready to make commit to a monthly subscription to somebody for the content they create, whereas buying somebody a coffee is something that's a lot easier and sort of easier to get your head around, isn't it? You're not committing something long term. Maybe you've just seen, I mean, I often watch videos and I think that was a great video. You've really helped me out with that tip. And if I had the option to just say, hey, I'll get you a coffee, then I certainly would do in a lot of circumstances. But would I go through the process of going to Patreon, setting up a Patreon account, which is, if you want to actually subscribe to somebody on Patreon, you have to go through that process of setting up an account yourself, and then there's the whole process of that. Whereas Buy Me a Coffee, it's quite simple. You just go over to the, if you click my link, takeonetech.io/coffee, or go to buymeacoffee.com/takeonetech, it just takes you over to this page, and then you can click on support, 1 coffee, 3 coffees, 5 coffees. By the way, my channel is fueled on coffee. I do mention that on the the website, but it really is. I get up, like I say, at 4 o'clock, and this is the first thing I do. My jug of coffee. So yeah, working at 4 o'clock in the morning to get these videos done is yeah, fueled by coffee. So yeah, from the that web page, you can just go and click on the link there. All you do is put your name and then click this button here, and then it just has a simple sort of payment thing. You can pay with card or with Apple Pay. So basically, this is something that makes it very easy for people if they do want to support the channel or just want to, say thanks for some of the content you've created. Then it's an easy way for them to do that. So that is another thing. I won't labor that point too much, but that is a thing that I set up as well. So there's really sort of 5 subscriptions, if you like, or 5 services that I subscribe to, that I set up in order to run the channel. And yeah, that about covers it really. There are some other things that I wanted to just quickly mention, which is this video has been all about sort of the process and the things that I use to support the channel. Obviously, the videos that I'm producing are not about creating a YouTube channel. They're more about the sort of tech and the stuff that I use in a daily basis. There has been a bit of a focus on things like Ecamm Live in my first videos, just because that's what I've been using day in, day out. And, when you sort of have a new product that you're excited about, you just want to tell everyone about it. And so that's why there's been a bit of a focus in my videos of late on the things that I'm using to create these videos. But going forward, it will be more for sort of general tech sort of stuff. So the tech equipment that I'm using. So things like the Stream Deck as well, although that is, again, something that I'm using for video production, but it is something that I use for every aspect of my work. And most of my day is not spent producing videos. It's spent actually getting stuff done on my Mac. And yeah, the Stream Deck is one of those things that's just, it's after the laptop itself, after my computer, the Stream Deck is the most important piece of equipment that I own now. It's come into every single aspect of my daily working life. So I'll be doing some videos all about that, a whole series on how I use it to get things done in different applications and just in general. And then there'll be other sort of software reviews and things like that that I use, and sort of sometimes how to use things in maybe slightly non-conventional ways, but just to get much better results, or sort of unique approaches to things, because I'm always looking for ways to how I can, if I see a piece of software or a piece of hardware, I always look for the opportunity in how I can use that to help me. So I've come up with a few sort of innovative and interesting ways to do things. So I'll be doing videos on those. I've also got, lots of little things like little tips, little menu bar apps that I use to help. So I've got a whole series of things on, 5 menu bar apps that are to have for your Zoom calls, top 10 menu bar apps. There's no list of these things, and they're all for specific use cases, but it's all stuff like that, basically, how to get stuff done on the Mac. So I've lost my train of thought slightly there on why I went off on that little digression. But yeah, all of which to say that this is the live streams, though, are going to be focused on for the next few weeks, at least until the audience grows, are going to be focused on the actual sort of behind the scenes aspect of, what I'm doing to run the channel and how the channel is growing. Because, as I say, this is a bit of an experiment. And on that subject, I also decided that since I am doing this as a bit of an experiment to see how things how things go and how things grow using the YouTube algorithm, I've also set up a podcast. Now, it's not actually live yet, technically. It hasn't. I recorded the first 2 episodes, but it will be up on iTunes or your favorite podcast player anytime soon. I think it just takes a while for it to sort of propagate, and I've uploaded the first one, but it's not quite showing up just yet, so it takes a little while. I think a day or so for that to come through. But yeah, my YouTube journey, I didn't call it Take One Tech, because at some time I think I will do a sort of tech podcast as well that sort of accompanies the channel. But the first podcast, I wanted it to be sort of, it's It's specifically not a tech podcast. It is all about my YouTube journey, and I'll be sharing things in there like, you know, the growth of the channel from 0 to who knows where, and yeah, just talking about the sort of experiences that I've had along the way. So the first episode was just an introduction to the obviously the channel and what I'm doing and the process, but then the second episode, which is just going to be uploaded shortly, is actually the 5 things that I've just talked about there. So it'll be that sort of thing, you know, the process behind setting up and growing a YouTube channel from 0. And again, I'm not doing any, you know, marketing or anything like that for this channel, short of just obviously talking about it on here. And so it's just interesting to see what the YouTube algorithm does do. I'm posting a video a week at the moment, and for the podcast I'll be doing sort of bi-weekly, I think, so where I do one which is a sort of weekly update and another one where I focus in on something. So for example, like focusing in on Ecamm Live, talking about how I'm using that and some of the tools that I'm using. But then for the channel itself, yeah, sort of one video a day is what I'm aiming for. I do seem to have got into a bit of a flow with it to be able to just get them sort of produced quite quickly. So yeah, one video a day for YouTube, and then one live a week for YouTube as well. So that's all that I've got to cover for today after an hour of live streaming. So I hope you found some of this interesting. If you have, then please don't forget to, obviously the obligatory, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can do that by clicking down below. And as I mentioned earlier, some people may be not quite so sure where that description box is apparently, but if you click the little down arrow, then you'll see the description, and anything that I've talked about in the video today will be linked to down there. And let me just pop that one back up again. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, and then also turn on the notifications. And if you turn on the notifications, then what that does is it makes sure that you get notified whenever I produce a new video, or if I go live, for example. So that's just down below as well. I hope you found this useful. I'll be making plenty more videos like this, plenty more live streams. I'd love to see some people on the live stream instead of talking alone. And if I do, then I'll be happy to take any questions and help out, you know, with any issues you've got. And if I don't forget, I'll just take this little podcast image down from there, and I'll take this little one off the bottom there. I did a video, by the way, about how I produced all of these using my Stream Deck to switch between scenes, so I can just activate things like lower thirds and that with the touch of a button. So I'll link to that video up in the top as well. But in the meantime, I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day, and I'll look forward to seeing you in one of the next videos. And as you know, you can just click one of those from there, and if you haven't already, there's the subscribe button right where my little head was. Have a great day, everybody.